Coming number 10, we have the Croatian Tape. The thing about found footage is it can easily be staged. There's no way of telling if what you're looking at is made by someone with the intention of freaking you out, or if it was actually the last moments of someone's life caught in a disturbing video. Well, that is what we have on our first point. The Croatian Tape is said to be recorded in 2005, and no one has any idea of when it worked its way onto the internet. In the tape, there are two young boys who are just walking about late at night, and then they're approached by some strange man. There's a couple things that seem off about this dude. For one, he's stumbling around like he's drunk or disoriented, and two, he has some sort of canvas bag on his head like he's Jason from the first Friday the 13th movie. First, this guy seems harmless. It seems like maybe he's lost, but then he starts to get aggressive and chase after the boys. They outrun him and make it back to their apartment building, and right when they think that they're safe, they see this in the elevator.
Thank you, Pat. Yes.
Now, this could have all been staged. I mean, how on earth did this baghead guy make it back to the elevator? But they might have been messing around with something supernatural that tracked them down.
In our number 9 spot today, we have the blonde from the store. Before I dive into this one, guys, please don't forget to hit the thumbs up button if you're enjoying the video so far, because it really helps us out. This footage is said to have been taken by a man who met a blonde girl at the grocery store and decided to follow her home, which just... please don't do that because that's weird. Footage starts off showing the outside of the blonde girl's house. Definitely not a good start. The man is on the front porch of the house and he ends up actually entering the house. That shot where you see him in the mirror absolutely terrifies me, you guys. He continues walking around the house and then there is a knock at the door. The blonde woman goes and opens the door and sees a fire outside. At this point, our creepy cameraman is back outside and he watches and films her as she stands on the porch and calls someone on the phone for help. This is when our cameraman decides it is time to strike. I really hope that this video was staged and just like a prank or a joke because it absolutely freaked me out. In our number 8 spot today, we have Creep. This found footage is actually a movie and it is one of the most terrifying and disturbing movies I have ever seen. I watched it for the first time around 6 years ago and I still cannot get it out of my head. This movie was directed by Patrick Bryce and it is a psychological thriller that follows a man who, after finding out he has an inoperable brain tumor, decides to hire a filmmaker so that he can leave a video diary for his unborn son, so that when the son grows up, he'll be able to at least know a bit about his dad. Between the man who wants to make the video and the filmmaker, these are two extremely disturbed people and things really just go down from there. I don't want to ruin the movie for you in case you decide to check it out, but I just want to give you a small taste of what you're in for.
Everything's okay. Not a care in the world. It's all over.
In our number 7 spot today, we have The Man. This video starts off with some guys pulling a pretty mean and super gross trick on an older man. They are leaving bags of poop lit on fire at this man's doorstep, which is the oldest trick in the book, but one that no one should ever do, ever, because it's just nasty and also maybe dangerous. Unfortunately, these guys didn't get the memo and leave not just one, but a few bags at this man's doorstep.
Come on. Merry Christmas. Come on.
Of course, these guys think they're hilarious, and of course, this man is extremely upset, as I would be. But the man goes back inside his house, but these guys decide to try and trick again. But what happens next is what none of them were expecting.
Oh my god. What are we gonna... Get out, get out.
Of course, these guys just watched their friend basically get kidnapped, so instead of calling anyone, they go to investigate. They peer into the man's windows and head around towards the backyard before the man jumps out, and the video ends when it appears that he strikes the men with a shovel. This is another one where I'm not sure if this is real or not, but I hope it isn't. In our number 6 spot today, we have this doorbell footage. This next footage comes from a doorbell camera and shows the terrifying moment a stranger begins trying to break into a woman's home. She starts off by backing up and throwing her body into the window until it breaks.
You can see the intruder backing up and throwing the full force of her body into the window. It breaks. Then she pulls out the screen and reaches in. The homeowner screams.
The stranger wasn't in any immediate danger, but it does appear as though she may have been a little bit confused about her whereabouts, which is kind of sad. The woman whose home it is rightfully pretty freaked out and actually was a registered gun owner, so things really could have taken a wrong turn in this footage. Eventually, a police officer shows up and speaks to the woman, who claims that her friend is in the house. Obviously, this isn't the case, but this is why I believe that she may have been confused as to where she was. In the end, I am glad that everyone left this situation safely, but I am sure that everyone was a bit shaken up. In our number 5 spot today, we have the bear attack. This is footage that I will not be able to show you guys in this video, and I'm honestly not even sure if you'd want to watch it if I could. This footage comes from the camera of Timothy Treadwell, who is known as Grizzly Man due to his love of bears. The footage comes from a late summer day in 2003 when Timothy and his girlfriend Amy went out to study bears as hibernation season was just around the corner. The pair didn't return when they were supposed to, so an investigation and search party was launched to find them. Eventually, what was left of the pair, along with their camera, were found by authorities. As it turns out, they had been attacked and almost entirely eaten by a bear on this day, and their camera was running and recording during the terrible attack. Luckily, there was only audio, because I can't imagine anyone having to sit through a full video of such a gruesome attack, but the audio is just as haunting as you would assume it is. In our number 4 spot today, we have the Bradford City Stadium fire. On Saturday, May 11th, 1985, there was an English League 3rd Division match between Bradford City and Lincoln City, which took place at the Bradford City Stadium. Just minutes before the halftime mark of the game, a small fire was spotted in the stands. A man had lit a cigarette in the stands, and when he went to step on it to put it out, it fell through the stands. This small cigarette started a small fire that ended up engulfing the entire stadium in basically no time at all. The stadium was not built to resist the flames. In fact, a lot of the material used were highly flammable, which definitely made matters worse. It was an absolutely devastating day, and there is a video of the entire thing, but I'm just going to show you a clip from just the beginning where you can see the small fire starting.
And we've actually got a fire in the stand on the far side of the ground. And that looks very nasty indeed. Now the police have gone over there to try and quell the fire, and they're frantically getting some of the supporters out. Now these are extraordinary scenes at Valley Parade. It's supposed to be a day of celebration. One hopes the stand doesn't burn down.
This was just the beginning of what turned into a huge and deadly fire. In our number 3 spot today, we have this clown sighting. This footage comes again from another home surveillance camera, and I feel like these things always catch the creepiest happenings. This time when the homeowner went to check their footage, they were greeted by an extremely creepy clown. I'm not sure if you remember a few years ago when it became a trend to dress up as a killer clown to scare the heck out of people, but I'm hoping that that's where this video comes from, because that is the only explanation I want for this footage.
It's a scene straight from a horror movie, but it's right here in Jacksonville. A Springfield resident's surveillance camera caught this creepy clown on his porch. He grabs a pumpkin and then tears it apart. The clown stares awkwardly at the camera before disappearing into the darkness.
I like that the reporter commented that the clown looked awkwardly at the camera before leaving, because I think that the appropriate word is that the clown looked terrifyingly at the camera before he left. I could not imagine checking my footage and seeing this clown on my front porch. I feel like I would never sleep again. In our number 2 spot today, we have the Blockbuster ghost. For those of you who don't know, before the age of streaming, we had to go to a store in order to rent videos so that we could watch the newest movies once they were on VHS. Blockbuster was a magical place, but this video shows another side to our beloved video store. This surveillance camera footage shows an employee, after closing, restocking some of the shelves in the store. Nothing too mysterious. That is, until when he finishes stocking one shelf, he moves to the next, but one video on the shelf he just worked on immediately falls off. Okay, maybe he just put the video on the shelf weird and it fell off. No big deal. He goes back, puts the video on the shelf again, but when he walks away, it flies off the shelf again. I feel like at this point I would have already dipped out of there, but this guy goes back again and picks the video up. He walks away again, and this time a video on the other shelf falls down right in front of him, and as he reaches to pick it up, another video falls off, and then a third one falls. He understandably runs off after the third video falls, and I truly cannot blame him. In our number 1 spot today, we have Salem Road. This video shows a couple guys driving in a truck down a road in what looks like a very rural area. They're just guys being dudes hanging out until they come across a woman dressed in white walking down the middle of the road.
What the? That's a person. That is a girl. What the? It's, wow. Dude, who is that? It's 31 degrees outside.
They're obviously really confused by what she is doing just walking down the middle of the road, and she seems to be unbothered by the men driving up behind her. They stop the truck and one of them gets out to go and check on her.
What the is he doing? Get the out! Go! Get the out! Go! What? Go!
The guy continues freaking out, telling them that they need to get out of there, and the other guys don't believe him until they realize that seemingly out of nowhere, this lady is now right in front of their truck. The video ends with this clip. I'm not sure who or what this lady is or what happened to these men, but it just does not look good. Starting up this list in our number 10 spot. Okay, so at the beginning of this video, while nothing super creepy happens, the whole vibe of the video is just unsettling. There's like some sort of puppet looking doll who seems like maybe they're hosting a children's show. They ask if you would like to sing with them, and then they begin singing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, which should just be harmless, right?
Twinkle, little star, how I wonder where you are. Please do come again.
After the song ends and the screen fades to black, the exact same sequence repeats. The screen then fades to black again, and the sequence begins again, but this time the puppet has no eyes and ends up not singing the song at all, but just looking creepy with its no eyes.
Oh, hi. Sure is dark out. Would you want to sing with me?
We then hear some sort of alarm sound as a strange sort of photograph barely comes across the screen. If this wasn't enough, to end off the video, we just see the puppet's head floating with an extremely disturbing smile on its face. The audio is a little distorted, but it's telling some weird story about their dad and them asking for a toy, but their dad says no.
Can I have a toy? No. He says, you are a bad boy.
All in all, I have no idea what is going on in this video, but I feel like I might be cursed after watching it.
Coming in at number 9, we have the Paris catacombs footage. If someone invites you to come down into some catacombs for exploring, just say no. That's not a fun place to be, especially when you're in Paris. Why would you spend your time walking around with a bunch of old bones when you could be eating croissants until you need a forklift to sit upright? Well, in Paris, someone thought it would be a good idea to take a break from gorging on baguettes to look at some rotting bones. This is some of the most terrifying found footage I have ever seen. You have a POV shot of someone walking through this tunnel system. For the most part, everything seems normal, but then they start to panic. I don't know if it's the strange markings all over the walls that starts to freak him out, or maybe he got lost, or maybe he heard something, but it doesn't matter because he just starts running. As he's running, you can tell that he has no idea where he's going, and eventually he drops his camera and makes off into the darkness. Let's take a look at this man's panic.
Are pictures of bones.
The video shows the man exploring, but he soon begins to panic. He runs through the maze of tunnels and his breathing gets heavy. As he is running, you can hear and tell the man is freaking out.
Now, we have no idea why this guy started to panic or what happened to him after. The catacombs are like a maze that go on for miles in every direction, so there's a good chance that he got lost down there and was never seen again, or that whatever he was running away from caught up with him. Coming in at number 8, we have a doorbell cam. There is nothing better than looking through some videos from your doorbell only to find a creeper walking close to your house. What could be worse than that? Well, what about a dude caught in the act of creeping around your house? I'm about to show you a man who was caught wandering around someone's home, and then they came right up to their door and did this.
He proceeds to knock and ring the doorbell.
The owner of this home woke up to a notification coming from their phone that someone was at their door. You know, sometimes I think it's weird that our lives are becoming so automated, but when you see something like this, you would be happy to have a camera on the front of your door. This person kept trying to work their way into the home in one of the strangest attempts I have ever seen. He rings the doorbell and then tries to break in afterwards. The man is probably deranged and had no idea what was going on. Coming in at number 7, we have the mysterious noise. Now, even when found footage doesn't have something that is explicitly creepy about it, like a dude with a bag on his head chasing you down the street, there can be something strange and creepy to it that just leaves a weird feeling in your stomach. That's how people feel about the Paraguayan camcorder footage. It would seem to be some sort of strange home video that has several different scenes spliced together. It follows a group of teens and all the footage is extremely grainy, which makes sense because the footage is apparently from the 90s. But then there comes this noise. You can hear that strange humming in the background. Now, while this is probably some static that was picked up because the recording is on a very old device, some other people think that this could be a curse of sorts. That if you listen to the full tape, it will bring a dark energy into your life as if you were watching the tape from The Ring. Coming in number 6, we have the South Korean ferry incident. Back in 2014, a ferry in South Korea would take on way too many cars and passengers. Now, even though the vessel should have been able to handle this many people on board, the waves were rough that day and the ship ended up tipping on its side. This is some of the footage from inside the ship.
수연아, 마지막 진짜 팔기 보소. 나도. 우리 이렇게 바다로 헤엄쳐서 이렇게 될 거야. 수연아, 자, 왜 네가 들고 있어? 나 이제 토할 것 같거든.
This entire video is about 20 minutes long, and throughout most of it, no one really seems to think that they're in any danger. They are convinced that the people around them will all be saved when their rescue comes. Unfortunately, they were wrong, and many people that day were not saved. Coming in at number 5, we have the skeleton at the door. Having a doorbell camera might bring in more stress into your life than you would think. Let me show you this footage, and then you can see how stressful it would be to see something like this happen at the front of your house.
With a piece of tape. The homeowner got an alert that motion was detected on the porch, and upon checking the footage was ready to grab his gun. It's not known what was done while the tape was covering the camera.
You see a creepy skeleton come out of the darkness and then cover up the camera to your door. Now apparently this didn't lead to anything. It was probably just some kids goofing around, but some kids goofing around can make you feel like your home is about to get broken into by the undead. Coming in at number 4, we have a towering flame. This is one of the most famous cases of found footage in the 90s. When you hear the start of this, you will literally think it's a plot for a B movie, but this is really what happened. It was in California, and on the side of the road there was some old cassettes that were found. On these tapes was a recording of a massive blaze. It was a house that had been set on fire. Here's some of the footage from that tape.
Asexual turn-ons.
That is just a taste of the whole thing. The rest of the footage goes on for about 4 minutes. You can hear people laughing, and you can only assume that those were the people who lit the fire. For a while, this was just a tall tale and some creepy footage, but eventually the tape made it onto Unsolved Mysteries, and through this, the people were able to track down the culprits. It turned out to be 2 teenagers who were both arrested and tried for their crimes. Coming in at number 3, we have an oncoming train. This footage is some of the most infuriating and depressing footage on this list. It comes from a movie shoot in 2014 when a crew was filming a movie about Greg Almond. They were on a train bridge and they thought that they had all day to shoot, but there was something that the director didn't tell them. The director had contacted the city to get permission to shoot on the bridge, but they were denied the right to shoot twice. Then the crew had to rush off the bridge while the train was barreling towards them. Unfortunately, not everyone was able to make it out of the way of the train safely. When everything was said and done, the production company was sued and had to pay out over $3 million, and the director was thrown in prison for manslaughter. Coming in at number 2, we have No Through Road. There have been a lot of theories about No Through Road. On the footage, there are 4 English teens driving around late at night until they get lost. Eventually, they get to a dead end and try to work their way back, and their car stalls. Then they are confronted by this.
Jay, just give me the... What are you doing? Turn it back on.
It's not me. I can't.
Turn the bloody lights on.
Now that seems pretty terrifying. What on earth do you think that thing is? It looks like it could have just been a regular man, but the rest of the footage is too gruesome for me to show you here. It cuts some of the previous footage on the camera in between these young men being attacked by this strange figure. Now, when you watch it, I would guess that this is a very well put together project from a few teens who wanted to make a short horror movie. But when you dig deeper into the story, the rumors say that the car was found with blood all over it, and there was only the tape left in the car. And coming in the number 1 spot, we have the Stephen McDaniels footage. This is by far some of the most chilling footage that you could ever see. Stephen McDaniels was a very troubled person. He was classmates with Lauren Giddings, and even though the two barely interacted, he had an obsession with her. Without her knowing, he would creep outside her window and film her. Here's some of that footage. Just seeing that makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up. This entire time, Lauren had no idea that there was someone outside her apartment, and it was the last day of school when Stephen would break into her apartment. The police were later notified and found the footage I just showed you on Stephen's computer. Stephen is currently in prison, and there's a good chance he will never be released.
Starting off this list in our number 10 spot, we have the Intruder video. This video was taken from a surveillance camera that was placed inside of a couple's home. I wouldn't have said that having a surveillance camera inside your home is exceptionally common, but man, am I glad these people had one because of what it caught while they were sleeping. When the couple woke up one day, they were unable to find a purse that they knew was in the home before they went to sleep. They decided to check their security cameras, and this is what they found. As it turns out, the couple had fallen asleep on the couch as they were watching TV, and while they were sleeping, a man crept in and was so quiet that he didn't wake them or their dogs up. He stood at the top of the stairs watching them sleep for a few minutes, which really adds a layer of uncomfortability to this already spooky video. Moving on to number 9. This video comes from someone who took a video searching around a place called Satan's Bridge. It begins with someone showing a bunch of animal carcasses, which obviously obviously I'm not going to show here, that have just been left around from possible sacrifice ceremonies that may have taken place in this area. He continues to search the place and ended up recording some footage that I think does an amazing job at capturing the uncomfortable feeling that this place holds. I wish I could know all of the stories that this bridge holds, but I feel like it may be for the best that they remain hidden. The guy filming finds some more evidence of things that could point to satanic rituals being held, and honestly, I'm impressed that he was able to stick around exploring for so long, because I would have been out of there immediately. Moving on, in our number 8 spot. The people who posted this video explained that they received coordinates on the dark web. When they traveled to the coordinates, they found this tape that we're going to be talking about, as well as a collection of other things, all said to belong to a killer. I feel like this tape would have still been creepy without knowing the backstory, but it is 1,000 times creepier having those details. The video is fairly long, and while not a lot happens in it, there's certainly something sinister going on. It is basically just a video of a guy digging a hole with a shovel. We hear him in his car as he arrives at the location, we hear him digging, and you can even see him pick up an object wrapped in a black garbage bag and put it into the hole. You can't really see him. In fact, you can't see much, but there's definitely enough to know what is going on. All I have to say is I really hope that this video is fake. Moving on to number 7. You guys, I'm not gonna lie, I have absolutely no idea what is going on in this video, and I don't even know if I want to find out. First, it starts off with another puppet named Sophia, and then suddenly cuts to this creepy masked figure. What was that? Again, I have no idea. We then cut to some blurred out creepy clown face that is calling for someone named Macy, and honestly, I hope Macy runs in the opposite direction.
Macy! I order you to come here right now!
The video then cuts to what looks like a tied up clown with more creepy dialogue, and then cuts back to the clown face from before, but is more visible this time. In the end, it cuts back to Sophia, and she asks if we want to sing a song with her, and then that's the end. Honestly, I was happy to reach the end of this video because it had me very creeped out. Moving on to number 6. This video was apparently filmed in 1988 and was found in a scary abandoned log cabin deep in a forest in Poland a few decades later. The footage shows whoever is operating the camera walking around filming the log cabin. They end up getting to an open window and are kind of focused on it and studying it, when all of a sudden, out of the blue, it just snaps shut. At the same time, a paranormal sounding yell can be heard, but no one is around and the camera goes blank. I'm not exactly sure what happened here, but I would have been out of the cabin as fast as I could possibly go. Moving on to number 5. This video comes from 2001 and shows a group of teenagers who are trying to summon a spirit while of course recording it for the camera. They start in a circle all holding hands with their eyes closed and one of their friends in the center of the circle. They're trying to get the spirit to contact them through the friend that's in the middle, but things start to go awry when one of the friends holding hands in the circle collapses. At first his friends think that he's just playing around with them, but then he starts convulsing and everyone gets extremely freaked out. After he gets up from the floor, he is not only acting scary, but his posture has certainly changed, and everyone else who is there is rightfully extremely scared.
Spiritus prontus.
Você mal do ti? Céu!
Opa, não lhe toque, caraças, diz! Olha as costas dele, meu! Olha as costas dele!
The video shows the rest of the boys being super frightened by their now possessed friend's scary behavior, and they're just trying to figure out what to do.
Deixas aqui o André e o Céu. A gente volta, né? Eu não tenho coragem de ir à procura deles agora com o Fox, né, Gabriel? Eles são meus irmãos, gosto bem deles. Mas fica de dia, pá.
By the end of the video, their real friend has luckily come back to them, but he doesn't remember anything that happened to him. Moving on to number 4. This footage comes from Paraguay. It was taken on a camcorder that had some spots filmed over by other family members. The audio and the video ended up getting blended and corrupted and just left us with this footage that looks like it could be straight out of a horror movie. Because it's so messed up, I really don't know what is going on, but I'll show you some of the video so that you can see what I mean. I don't know why, but that one kid who looks like they're sitting on top of a roof really freaks me out. Coming in at number 3. This video was posted to TikTok by a user named Turney. I've spoken about Sarah in another video of mine and how she used TikTok to help her close the case of her sister's disappearance. When Sarah was young, her sister Alyssa went missing and no one was ever charged with the crime, but Sarah always knew it was her dad and set out to prove it and have him charged so that she could bring justice for her sister. Sarah released some VHS footage on TikTok that ended up going absolutely viral. Apparently her dad would follow Alyssa around and film her, and later they found out that he had cameras hidden in their house, which is just very bizarre behavior. This video is one of many that Sarah posted on TikTok and shows when her dad followed Alyssa to her fast food job and was sitting in the parking lot filming her. While this video is super creepy on its own, since it's very obvious that she doesn't want to be filmed, it's even more creepy considering all we know now. Luckily, Sarah's TikToks worked. Near the end of 2020, her dad actually ended up being arrested and charged with the disappearance and presumed death of Alyssa, which is a huge win for Sarah. Moving on to number 2. This VHS tape was found at an estate sale that was being held in a barn. The person who uploaded this tape found them among the 10 boxes that they had purchased, among other things such as records, rusted tools, and old paint cans. This video shows someone walking through some sort of mildly wooded area in the daytime, which, okay, yeah, fine. But then it cuts to a night scene and it just really leaves me with an uncomfortable feeling. I have absolutely no idea what the white thing being dragged is, but I absolutely do not want to find out. Moving on to our number 1 spot. This video was found under a bridge in Russia. It shows what sounds like a teenager filming the video while riding his bike up to the underside of this bridge. A very strange noise can be heard as he is approaching. This brave soul continues to stick around and investigate the sound further before something pretty scary happens.
Слышите? Ёпта. Сука. Что? Ты кто это? Кто это? Кто это?
I don't know what that sound was or what happened to that boy, but I really hope he made it out of there because that video did not end well.